Brought to you by the Las Cruces Sun-News. This is Straight Shooter.
What is going on, everybody? This is Justin Martinez, aka Jay the Sports Dude, and if you're listening right now, let me just say thank you for tuning in to Straight Shooter, the podcast where I shoot from the hip and give you everything that you need to know about the New Mexico State men's basketball team. This is episode 9 of our season-long journey, so if you're a returning listener, then welcome back. I missed you, and if you're new to the program, well then welcome to the family. Where have you been all my life? I know I say this every single time, guys, but we really do have a great episode in store for you all tonight, but don't just take it from me. I'll let everyone's favorite guest host explain. That's right, I'm coming to you from a place that I like to call the saloon. So barkeep, what do we have on tap for today?
On tap today is a recap of the Northern New Mexico game, an interview with AJ Harris, a preview of the California Baptist game, and a preview of WAC play. That's a lot on your plate, Justin.
You know it, barkeep, but that's all right. I have my lasso in hand, and it's time for our post-game roundup segment where I round up my thoughts on the most recent New Mexico State game. And in this case, the Aggies earned a 104-30 win over Northern New Mexico this past Sunday at the Pan American Center. So here are my 3 takeaways from the contest. My first one is that Clayton Henry really changes the dynamic of this team. Now, you have to keep in mind that the Eagles are an NAIA squad, so don't put too much weight into any of these stats that I'm giving, but either way, the senior recorded 8 points and 4 rebounds in 23 minutes off the bench for his season debut. He had been out with a torn ligament on his thumb on his shooting hand, guys, but I mentioned at the beginning of the year that Henry has such a key role on this team because of his defending and his ability to play at the 4 spot as well, since he has so much strength to him, and it was great to see him back out there on the court. He can hit the 3, he doesn't play outside of the system, and he's easily the strongest small forward on the team, as I mentioned, because this guy really did bulk up in the summer. That's something that Jans was talking about a lot in the post-game presser, and that's just what makes him a great asset for this team. But now let's get into roundup number 2. So my second takeaway is that there's no question, guys, who remains as the top scorer on this team, even when everyone's healthy, and that is Mr. Trevelin Queen. Now, Queen really has been thriving due to that shortened rotation because he hasn't really had a backup, as I've said, with Henry out, but I don't really see his numbers dropping too much now that the Aggies are at full strength because he really does everything for this team. Queen recorded 17 points, 8 assists, and 7 steals, guys, against Northern New Mexico, and he had a game-high plus-minus of 56 points in only 16 minutes. Let that sink in for a second. This guy is as efficient as it gets, and there's a reason why he is in the discussion for an NBA draft pick, and I expect him to continue to be that guy for New Mexico State in WAC play. But now let's get into roundup number 3. So speaking of WAC play, my third takeaway is that AJ Harris is ready for conference competition. Now, the senior made his season debut last week against Mississippi State in what was a great win for the Aggies. He recorded 3 points on 1 for 6 shooting in the process, and it was just clear that he was excited to be back on the court with his teammates. That's probably why I think he played a little too wild in terms of searching for his shot, but Harris did calm down and he played some really efficient basketball against Northern New Mexico. He recorded 8 points on 3 for 6 shooting. He had 7 assists, and he had a plus-minus of 50 points in just under 20 minutes. So he's what makes this offense go, and I think he's in store for a great next couple of months. But don't just take it from me. I got to talk to AJ about his recovery process, where he feels the team is at, etc. And that is what we have in store for segment number 2. So barkeep, change the channel real quick.
You got it, boss.
So just good to be back, just going to talk about just how you're feeling, just confidence-wise right now.
I'm feeling really good. Since my second game back, I'm practicing every day, working out more and more, just doing more things that I wasn't doing before. I'm in the gym all the time more. Just the rehabbing is coming really good with my pinky. Just everything is coming along real well. I feel like we going into conference with our backs against the walls because I feel like everybody's against us. We've been back 2 years in a row winning it, so I feel like we got to keep going. We got to keep the train rolling.
Yeah, definitely. What's these past 2 months or so been like, just with that recovery process, as you said?
It was pretty hard, just sitting and watching, but at the same time, it's a learning process too. Finding ways to be more of a leader, being a leader, not being on the floor, just being more vocal, talking to my guys more and more, just just not being on the floor just had me being more vocal to my teammates, just being more positive to them, making them better as players.
Yeah. What was that like when you got back on the court against Mississippi State?
Oh, it felt good. My energy was outrageous. Too excited. I feel like I was just too excited. My adrenaline was rushing. But I feel like I had a great game, and we got the W. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, definitely. You came back pretty much around the same time that Evan also got his eligibility. Can you just talk about where this backcourt is at right now? Like, how dangerous is this team just in terms of guard play?
We can be really dangerous in that backcourt as far as coming in the WAC conference. I feel like we have the best guards and we have the best guards in the WAC. I feel like we're going to put a lot of pressure on the guards that's in the WAC. I feel like once Terrell Brown get up and get running again, I feel like once he passed his groin injury, I feel like we'll be probably one of the best backcourts in the nation.
Yeah, definitely. Sean was holding down the starting role for you while you were gone. Can I just talk about just what you saw out of him just in his time as a starter?
His time as being a starter, once he have gotten there and been starting all these games since I've been out, I just feel like Sean has picked up his leader role. I feel like his being a leader has stepped up more than anything. He had to fill them shoes in for me to just being a leader. I feel like he was being more vocal than he was before.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned that you guys have an underdog role,
right?
Especially even a little bit more magnified this season once you guys got out to a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah.
Just how much does that kind of fuel the team?
It really fuels the team a lot more now since I'm back. Sean come in and really be scrappy on defense. We just had to make changes, So I feel like we made the right changes, and we're going to be more successful now.
Definitely. So. And I like to end all of these interviews just by giving a little nickname ideas. So if you have it sometime, I'd like to just bounce a couple off your head, see what you're thinking about them.
I don't have any.
Well, I want to give you a couple suggestions. You tell me how you're feeling about them.
Okay. What's the question? I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna give you a couple nickname ideas that I came up for you. Tell me how you're feeling about them. Cool.
Okay, that's fine.
So just starting off, I know you're from Dayton, Ohio, right? So how about the Dayton Dimer? How you feeling about that one?
Dayton Dimer?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. That's different.
Yeah?
I would like that too as well, the Dayton Dimer.
Yeah.
That'd be nice too. What's another one?
Now also, I know you can hit the three ball, really score from anywhere on the court. So how about Spray J Harris? How you feeling
Spray J Harris?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's creative.
Yeah, you
that's
like
creative.
that one?
Yeah, I like that one too. That's creative.
And I got one more for you, man. So I know you're rocking number 12. But I also think you have a really good 1-2 punch with the shooting and the passing. Mm-hmm. So how about AJ 1-2 Harris? How you feeling about that one?
AJ 1-2 Harris, that's nice too.
You like it?
That's nice too.
3 for 3?
Yeah, 3 for 3.
I appreciate it, man. Well, that's all that I have. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it.
Best luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
So that was AJ Harris talking about his recovery process after fracturing his finger in the summer. Great to see him back out there on the court, as I said. And shout out to you for taking the time to talk to me, AJ. I appreciate it. Guys, 3 for 3 on nicknames once again. I really have been on a roll. Although I forgot to ask him what his favorite was. I'm going to be so mad at myself for the rest of the week. However, please let me know which one you guys are feeling the most. Personally, my favorite is AJ 1-2 Harris. But either way, that's enough of that. Now it is time for segment number 3, which is a preview of New Mexico State's upcoming game against California Baptist on Saturday at 8 p.m. The Lancers have a 9-4 record and home court advantage in this one. And they're actually the only WAC team other than the Aggies with a winning record so far this season. So it's going to be a great game, and here are some players that you need to know about in this one. The first one and most obvious one, if you're new to the program, you need to know about this dude. His name is Milan Aqua, a 6'3" junior, averaging 19.2 points per game. The Washington State transfer can score the basketball as well as any player in the conference. Where do you want it, guys? He can shoot the three. He can take it to the rim. He gets to the free throw line at will. He is a scoring machine, and it's no secret that he's the focal point of this offense. 34.3% of the team's possessions end with the ball in his hands, which is the 11th highest percentage in the country, according to KenPom. But Aqua is also averaging 6.5 assists per game, so don't underestimate his passing, guys. Now, the Aggies only lost one conference game last season, and it was a road game to California Baptist because this guy dropped a season-high 36 points in the process, so finding a way to contain him is without a doubt going to be a top priority on Saturday. I'm personally expecting Jabari Rice to match up with him since the 6'4" guard did a solid job of defending New Mexico's Jaquan Lyle a few weeks ago. We'll see if he can embrace another tough matchup on Saturday. But the Lancers have more weapons than just Aqua, and one of them is Farron Flavors Jr., Really like that name, by the way. A redshirt junior averaging 14.8 points per game. The 6'3" guard is without a doubt a 3-point specialist. He's shooting 42.3% from behind the arc this season, and it's clear you don't want this guy to get hot from deep. Trevelyan Quinn will likely be matched up with him since Flavors usually gets slotted at that small forward spot, and we'll see if Quinn can use his elite length to disrupt his shot. Now, the final guy to watch out for is Justin Davis, a 6'7" senior power forward averaging 10.9 points and a team-high 8.7 rebounds per game. This guy is a bruiser down low. He doesn't like to extend his range, and look for Johnny McCants to try to give him some problems by forcing him to come out to that three-point line and defend, a shot that has really been falling down a lot lately for McCants. Now, my key to success in this game for the Aggies is without a doubt keep California Baptist off the free throw line, guys. The Lancers went an insane 32 for 36. That's right, 32 for 36 from the charity stripe in their 82-76 win over New Mexico State last season. As I mentioned, it was the only loss the Aggies suffered in conference play that year, and Aqua went a perfect 13 for 13 in that department, and that was certainly the difference because when the Aggies hosted the Lancers 2 months later, Cal Baptist only went 11 for 14 from the free throw line in a 75-63 loss. Now, according to Ken Palm, 21.4% of points scored against the Aggies this season have come from the free throw line, which is the 67th highest percentage in the country. It's definitely been a weak spot, so tightening that up on Saturday could give them the edge on the road. But now it is time for my prediction, so can I get a drum roll, please? So with this one, guys, I'm going with New Mexico State by a score of 68-66. It's going to be a real toss-up, but I think that win against Mississippi State was a great sign of what's to come in WAC play. They've now added Clayton Henry on top of that, and I expect them to gut this one out for a hard-earned road win. But that is going to do it for segment number 3. Now it is time for segment number 4. That's right, guys. For the first time in Straight Shooter history, we have a 4th segment. Consider it a late Christmas present from me to you for all the support that you guys have been giving me. Since this Cal Baptist game marks the start of conference play, I figured, hey, why not do a WAC preview where I give you all a rundown of what each team has in its arsenal, other than New Mexico State and Cal Baptist, of course, because I just finished talking about those two. But let's start off with Grand Canyon, who is 5-9 so far this season. The Lopes are led by the duo of Carlos Johnson and Alessandro Lever, who are averaging a combined 29.1 points per game, but that hasn't been enough to prevent a disappointing start for a team that reached the WAC title game last season. Grand Canyon does have a rising start in Javon Blackshear, who I think is worth mentioning. The freshman guard is already averaging 11 points and a team-high 3.6 assists per game. I had him as the conference's freshman of the year before the start of the season, and that has been holding up so far. 6'7" senior Oscar Freyer should also be eligible soon. He's a defensive force, so don't count the Lancers out just yet. Continuing to take care of the basketball is going to be key, though. They have a turnover percentage of 17.1 this season, which Ken Palm has as the 44th lowest percentage in the country. The next team is UMKC, who is 7-7 so far. The Kangaroos are led by 6'10" senior Javon White, who is averaging team highs of 11.5 points and 7.4 boards. He has 36 of the team's 126 offensive rebounds, so he's a big part of this group. The X factor, though, I think, is Rob Whitfield, who everyone expected to take the next step for his senior season. He averaged 11 points last year, which is second only to Xavier Bishop, who transferred to Montana State in the summer. But Whitfield is averaging just 9.1 points per game on 37.5% shooting. That definitely could be improved. He is still hitting his threes, but overall, the Roos definitely need more out of him if they want to compete in the WAC this season. Up next is Cal State Bakersfield, who is 6-9. The Roadrunners are led by 6'5" forward Taze Moore, who is one of the better two-way players in the conference. In addition to averaging a team-high 11.3 points per game, the redshirt sophomore also leads the team with 20 steals and 15 blocks. He's a gritty defender, and he's a strong finisher at the rim as well. The unsung hero on this team, however, I think, is Roan Reedus. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, man. Now, he is a 6'9" junior who leads the team with 29 offensive rebounds so far, despite averaging only 13.5 minutes per game. That's actually pretty insane. I think this guy needs to get on the court more because the Roadrunners actually are 9th in the country in offensive rebound percentage, so it's clearly one of their strong qualities. Might as well play to that strength and embrace it and get this guy some more time on the court. Now, this is a defensive-minded team that doesn't make it easy on opposing offenses, which is why number 24 ranked Texas Tech only beat them by a score of 73-58 on Sunday. They were hanging around there, and Bakersfield has played Northern Iowa, Gonzaga, Mississippi, and Tech so far. So this is a team whose record is a little bit deceiving. Do not sleep on this squad. Next, we have Utah Valley, who was also sitting at 6-9. The Wolverines saw a ridiculous 79.6% of last season's scoring either transfer away or graduate, and that includes WAC Player of the Year Jake Toulson. So it's not hard to see why they're struggling so far. Their top man is Isaiah White, a 6'7" junior guard, averaging a team high 16.3 points and 9.1 rebounds. He's essentially a walking double-double, and that's despite him shooting 23.3% from deep so far this season. So if that picks up, this guy really does become dangerous, or more dangerous, I should say. But this is a team that likes to take away that three-point shot from its opponents. Just 27.8% of its opponents' attempts are from deep, which is the 9th lowest in the country, according to KenPom. That's a big plus in a conference with a lot of trigger-happy teams, New Mexico State being a prime example. Up next is Seattle, a 7-8 team. The Redhawks are led by 6'1" junior Terrell Brown, who is averaging a conference-high 20.5 points per game. This guy is insane. He does his damage from close range and at the free throw line, specifically where he is shooting 73.1%. Now, all of Seattle's top 3 scorers from last season are back in the mix this year, so this is a very experienced team. In fact, the Redhawks actually have an average experience of 2.47 years per player, which is the 6th highest average in the country, according to KenPom. The biggest thing holding this team back, though, is its three-point shooting. Now, Seattle is only shooting 27.5% from deep so far this season, which is the 335th worst percentage in the country. That's not good, guys. Now, both Morgan Means and Miles Carter shot at least 37% in that department last season. They were really lighting it up and leading the way from deep, but neither of them are shooting above 29% in that department so far this season. Getting them back on track would really go a long way for the Redhawks. Next up is UTRGV, a 4-8 team. The Vaqueros are led by 6'3" grad Jordan Jackson, who is averaging a team high 14.7 points per game on 38.2% shooting from the field. But another player that I think deserves a lot of credit is Leslie Varner II, who is a great 3-and-D player. The 6'7" senior is going to be that guy guarding players such as Trevelyan Queen, Cal State's Taze Moore, and a lot of other great scorers at the wing. Having a lockdown small forward like that is a huge plus, and much like Cal State, the Vaqueros only lost to Texas Tech by a score of 68-58 last week. They were even leading at halftime, so this is a very strong defensive-minded team that makes up for its lack of offensive potency with its grit. Finally, we have Chicago State, who is 4-10. The Cougars have already surpassed last season's win total of 3 games, but 3 of the wins this season have come against either Division II, Division III, or NAIA schools. Not to discredit what they are doing, but you just have to put that out there. Regardless, leading the way is 5'11" junior Xavier Johnson, who is averaging a team-high 17.7 points per game on some really impressive 44% shooting. This guy has been hooping, so don't get it twisted. Even though he is a bit undersized, he can still put the ball through the hoop. He makes a lot of his money as a sniper. He will hit that 3 ball for sure. Overall, though, I still think Chicago State is a ways away from being competitive in the WAC. But that is going to do it for episode 9 of Straight Shooter. I hope you all enjoyed the extended content, and if you did, please leave a like, a comment, a retweet, all of that good stuff depending on what platform you're on. I really appreciate it. This season is just getting started, guys, and I'm looking forward to what's to come. This has been Justin Martinez, aka Jay the Sports Dude, and I'll see you guys next Monday. I'm out.